let's talk about the fun news that dropped earlier this week, like literally a day after we went live last week. And what did Tennessee receive in the mailbox that day? The email inbox. What did they get?
And Tennessee got noticed that there was NIL allegations coming down the pipeline there. It first came out that it was across all sports at Tennessee, not just football. But it's basically come down to one thing. Supposedly, Nico Iamaleava, whenever he was in the recruiting process, he supposedly signed an NIL deal before he officially signed his letter of intent, and at some point was given a plane ride on a private plane from Tennessee's NIL collective. Was it Spire Sports?
That is Spire Sports Group.
Yeah. So supposedly that's the NIL allegations that everyone has been, or that the NCAA has come out and said is going on. But you want to tell the folks, what Tennessee responded with, or what happened after that?
All right, so Tennessee got hit with this investigation 2000, whatever. It's never ending. Tennessee kind of responded. I know that's pretty small on the screen, but there's been multiple responses. But the biggest, I think, I call it the FAFO, and you can fill it out if you know what I'm talking about. The FAFO moment with Tennessee athletics is they, along with the state of Virginia, has actually filed a federal lawsuit against the NCAA for these investigations that are basically bogus. And I'll go ahead and read this out to you because I know you can't really see it. But the state of Tennessee and the Commonwealth of Virginia bring this antitrust case against the National Collegiate Athletic Associates, so the NCAA, has started enforcing rules unfairly to restrict the athletes can commercially use their name, image, and likeness, better known as NIL, as a critical juncture in the recruiting calendar. These restrictions violate the Sherman Act and harm the states and the welfare of their athletes and should be declared unlawful and unethical. I don't think that's what that says, actually, but it's pretty much the same thing. So, literally, basically, what we just fired back with is NCAA has been changing their regulations like every year or two because NIL is such a such a big thing, and then they just kind of in 2020, there you go do it, but you can't do this, and then it was like, okay, and then in 2021 it was like, oh, you can't do that, and you've already done it, but you can't do that anymore, and they kept doing that, and now they're going after Tennessee, the University of Tennessee, over something that the collective did that has no ties to the college whatsoever. And they're basically calling it unethical because I think a little bit more detail is the fact that, and I think you mentioned this, is that the Spire Sports Group flew Nico in on a private jet, but they paid for that. Every college in America is doing that. And that's no secret. That's why you're seeing the SEC. That's why you're seeing fans of other teams, honestly, not give a crap about this. I don't know if y'all watched the Paul Feinbaum show. There was an Alabama fan that called into that show and was just like, so what? And he knows Nick Saban did it illegally the whole time. And so basically, NCAA is allowing folks, or NCAA is basically trying to crack down on something that there's no rules on. And so Tennessee has kind of had that FAFO moment, right? FAFO, you can fill in the blank. And they're not going to take it. They're not going to be pushed around. Tennessee was probably the most I don't know the word I'm looking for, but worked together with. They really did a great job with the NCAA over the Jeremy Pruitt stuff. They literally did the investigation for them. They worked out ties, and but anyway, so having them now come back at us to try to make us an example of something that everybody's doing was a little wrong. And Danny White and Donde Plowman let them know that. And And I think you have the statement pulled up from Danny White if you want to show the guys what he responded with in the midweek.
I will pull it up right here. So this is a statement from Danny White, and once again, I know it's small, so I'll read through it for you guys. The NCAA generally does not comment on infractions cases because there is a rule against it. So that's one thing right there that the NCAA is completely wrong on, is because there is a rule against commenting on it, but they did comment this time. Anyway, however, that has not stopped them in the past from leaking information to the media as they did this week about us. Their actions made this ill-conceived investigation public and forced us to defend ourselves. It is clear that the NCAA staff does not understand what is happening at the campus level all over the country in the NIL space. After reviewing thousands of Tennessee coach and personnel phone records, NCAA investigators didn't find a single NIL violation. So they moved the goalpost to fit a predetermined outcome. They are stating that the nebulous, contradictory NIL guidelines written by the NCAA, not the membership, don't matter, and applying the old booster bylaws to collectives. If that's the case, then 100% of the major programs in college athletics have significant violations. This is obviously silly and not productive, as is blaming the membership whenever they are challenged. We need to be spending our time and energy on solutions to better organize college athletics in the NIL era, something that the NCAA leadership failed to do back in 2021. Student athletes, prospective student athletes, coaches, and administrators across the country deserve better. And I love this from Danny White. And I refuse to allow the NCAA to irrationally use Tennessee as an example for their own agenda.
You know what's crazy is look at the second comment right there in the comments. Kentucky fan here, and I stand with Danny White. Folks know this is bigger than Tennessee. This is bigger than Tennessee. If they push around us and allow them to do that, right? What's going to stop them from coming after the next school or the next school?
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, this is something that it's going to cause a civil war between the colleges and the NCAA. And the reason why I say a civil war is because the NCAA is literally not the NCAA without the colleges that freaking make it, So it's NCAA is really stepping over the line here, in many ways, and the reason why I say it's going to get ugly because this is not something that you just pull it back, say I was just joking, I was just testing the waters, right? This is something they poke the bear, and we're coming, and it's not just us. It's a lot of folks. Something that's actually big, and this is going to happen. Everybody's been talking about it. On3 come out with a report. It says the SEC and the Big Ten have announced the formation of a joint advisory group of university presidents, chancellors, and athletic directors. It will address significant changes facing college athletics and more. I'm telling you, this is bigger. This is bigger than what we're doing. All right. And there are a few folks out there. It's like, well, if you just want to violate recruiting violations, then they wouldn't come after you. Okay, buddy, we didn't. That's the thing. They're trying to make something out of nothing for literally no reason whatsoever. I don't know what their agenda is. I don't know if they got a tip off from another university that maybe they're trying to follow through with. But everybody knows behind closed doors that every school is doing everything that we've done. And it's supposedly the correct way to do it, but they just don't like the way we did it, so they want to change it again. And that's what Donde Plowman basically came out and said. That's what Danny White's saying. Like, look, you've not had a clear structure on rules and regulations on NIL since it began, so you're not going to hold us against it. It's been forever changing. Like, they've basically demanded them to come out with a clear structure on NIL for folks to follow, because how hard is it to recruit a kid when we're already starting to recruit in 2026, right? And you've got these laws that you've got to follow, but then maybe next year they change, and now everything you've just recruited this kid on, you have to change everything.
Yeah.
It's bullcrap. It's dumb. It's stupid, and that's why you're starting to see these collectives form. these organizations begin, which have already began. I mean, this is just first time it's gone public. And, this is something that could change college football forever. And your boys are in the front of it.
Yeah, and I was trying to find this tweet real quick, and I did find it. JD Pickle of On Three Sports, he said this is not Tennessee versus the NCAA. This is college football versus the NCAA. The mistake that the NCAA made here was getting Tennessee involved in this, trying to poke the bear, so to say, of Tennessee, because Tennessee is not afraid to get this started. Yeah. Absolutely not. They are not afraid to get this started. And the fact that Tennessee hopped on with it, Donda Plowman and Danny White, they fired right back at the NCAA. And then you see the state of Tennessee, Bill Lee, governor, and then the Commonwealth of Virginia, both of them, they joined forces there to file the lawsuit against it. There's going to be many more people that are going to hop on, many more states, many more schools going to hop on this lawsuit right here. And I've got a feeling that Florida is going to be one of the top ones, because both Florida and Florida State have both had NIL allegations against them as well. One of them for Florida is for Jaden Rashada, who they never even paid. I know that's part of the issue there is, they guaranteed him so much money, but they never even paid him.
No. And one thing that gives me as a fan, I was listening to the Eric Ainge show earlier this week, and Brian Rice, the not the main guy, but basically the radio character for that show, was like, how concerned should you be as a Tennessee fan about these allegations, about this investigation? And he was like, to be honest with you, 7 out of 10. He was like 7 out of 10. But then that article dropped, and he's seen that we're filing lawsuits against the NCAA. And then after what Danny White and Donnie Plowman said, which they could only say if they know for 1,000% they did nothing wrong, he came out and said 0 out of 10.
Okay, so that's
zero worries as a fan of what's going to come out of this.
So that's the thing right there. Let's back up just a little bit. So Tennessee with Jeremy Pruitt, they did that. Jeremy Pruitt, everything that came down because of that.
We deserved it.
Yeah, we deserved every bit of it. But Tennessee was completely cooperative.
They were compliant. The word that I was looking for. They were compliant, right? They fired everybody. They emptied house. Yes. So at that point, you would be punishing a bunch of kids and coaches that had nothing to do with it. But that's what a university does. You're supposed to get out ahead of that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we weren't able to find the Donda Plowman letter before we went live, but I do know this from the letter. She fired back at the NCAA and said, during all the lawsuits or all the violations that Tennessee had over the past couple of years because of the Pruitt situation, Tennessee has apparently gone from being the example that every single college, every single athletic department, basically every single high member of the university, they've gone from the example that everyone needs to follow to within 6 months being that they need to clean house. They need to get every single administrator and all that out because of the stuff that has happened there. That just doesn't add up to me. And, how is Tennessee going to go from being the example and being completely compliant through it all to all of a sudden, oh, we're hiding stuff. We're hiding. We're not going to release this to you, or we're doing this wrong, and we're going to make you look for it and all that. I think that Tennessee is completely in the right on this, and I said this before some of the other information came out. Tennessee firing back the way that they did, from Donda Plowman to Danny White to the Tennessee government filing a lawsuit against the NCAA. You mentioned Tennessee has absolutely nothing to worry about. They are completely in the right over this. I don't see any trouble coming for Tennessee down the pipeline for this. This is just the NCAA digging into something that they're not going to find. And, we mentioned it in the Danny White letter. He said the NCAA is trying to move the goalpost to a predetermined outcome that they want to have. And, you mentioned Brian Rice earlier. I'll actually put the link in the YouTube description. I'll share it on Facebook. If you get a chance, listen to Will West of Tyler and Will in the afternoons from the Sports Animal out of Knoxville. I believe it was either Wednesday or Thursday afternoon in hour number 1. He sounded off on the NCAA, and I loved every single minute of it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that comment by Danny White was the strongest comment that he could have made to move the goalposts, which I liked it because we tore down our goalposts not even a year and a half ago. I was like, yeah, I like that comment. Yeah. But to move it to a determined outcome that we all know that this is going, right? Everybody knew when NIL started, it's not just going to be sunshine and rainbows, dude. Like this is going to be something that's going to lead into something. And to be honest with you, I can't believe it's the NCAA that's trying to force that to happen. Like I thought it would just come naturally, right?
Yeah.
But what I think happened is NCAA seen how compliant we were the first time, and they thought they could get one over on us. Like, hey, let's go after Tennessee because of how well they handled the last one. Let's see if they'll just do it again. Nah, that ain't happening. All right, because we worked together the first time because we were in the wrong. And yeah, we were trying to save our own butt, whatever you want to call it. But they made the right moves for that. Now you're trying to come after us, and we didn't do anything that no other team in the nation ain't doing, right?
Yeah.
It's just not right. It's not right. I don't know why they did it, but I'm telling you, this thing is not going to end pretty. It's not like they can just withdraw, right? I mean, because technically an investigation has not necessarily been declared. It's been leaked that they were going to do it.
Well, I did see that, and that was actually on JD Pickle's page there. Pickell. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Pickell. No, you're good.
I did see that he shared it. So the NCAA was supposed to have a TRO filed by 6 p.m. yesterday.
Yeah, they didn't do that.
And I was going to say, I never did see if they did it or not, to which case, if they did file that TRO, then Tennessee and Virginia would have until 6 today to counter that. But yeah, I hadn't seen anything saying that they filed that. So
no, NCAA right now has their tails tucked between their booty cheeks, and they're sitting in a corner like, what do we do now? Because we weren't expecting that type of response from Tennessee. So credit to the leadership of Tennessee, man. I mean, this team that came in right after that whole Pruitt Fulmer era. I mean, you got Danny White in there, you got Donnie Plowman, Randy Boyd. They ain't messing around. They know what they're doing. They're making improvements to the university, the campus, the stadiums need it. All right, I'm tired of peeing in a horse trough in the men's bathroom. It's a little weird, not gonna lie, but they are literally doing everything possible to make campus better, to make life better, and to make sure that we truly are one of the top programs in the country.